Okay, get ready for this. This goes back to 2015. I had about 63 videos all ready to go about my discoveries. And they destroyed my channel, absolutely ruined everything. I put a couple of them up for a day or so. Look, I got 27 hits, 1 hit, 2 hits, 0, 0, 2, 4, 0, 1. I just had them up and I was ready to go. And I got to the point where I was showing possibly Jesus was the one that came from Jupiter, Venus, really. And here it is, Jesus, the supporting chemical evidence. And what we're going to read now is Velikovsky's account of what happened to the Earth as Venus approached. It was red blood, followed by stones, which would have been the red blood would have been from the birth blood, hydrocarbons, and red literal blood fell, and that would have been the afterbirth blood as Venus passed by, and it deposited it on the Earth. And then came the stones, which I say would have been the umbilical cord, and then came the manna, which is the placenta falling as flakes of, bread, basically. And that's what a placenta is. It's just basically milky bread. And then all the other events that happen in the catastrophes, it claims the exact same story almost. We're going to go and listen to that now, but it's a very interesting time in the history of mankind. And the sun stood still, and all these kind of things happened. A global red, the whole entire Earth turned red. And that's the red bed, which is the Triassic era, the gray clay, and the black cap right on top of it. And that all happened. They say it was 40 million years. I say it was a weekend. And I can prove it because I have a human footprint in the middle of those 3 layers. Right in the middle of it. It's the gray clay pushed down through the red bed, and then the black cap came on top. The only way that could have happened is if the red and the gray and the black settled in basically at the same time. The red settled first, then the gray clay, which was all the leftover things, and then the black cap came as all the combustion and everything. And this was a paper, well, this was a video I was going to do about it. I suppose I should play it, 6 minutes and 22 seconds. Maybe I'll play this one, and then we'll go ahead and do the next video on Velikovsky. Okay, let's do it this way. So, the chemistry supports Jesus' claim, or my claim about Jesus, that manna is likely from the placenta, milky lactogenic proteins with gelatinous afterbirth. The red dust was dried blood from the iron as afterbirth. The stones are plates of limestone created by the flexible mineral umbilical cord. The chemistry cannot be accounted for in any other way. These 3 events happen simultaneously, one after the other. Shows to me this looks like a birth of a creature with the red blood, the umbilical cord causing the stones, and then the milk being the manna. Okay, get ready, here goes. Okay, I realize it's a very sensitive subject, and I'm handling it in a very clinical way. I am a material chemist, and I understand how material is concentrates and how it comes to be. And I found some things that were I termed mud fossils, and I did the research on it, and it led to a very startling conclusion that there is evidence that Jesus is exactly what he says he is exactly what he says. Now, let's go through my evidence, and you can see. All right, Jesus Christ, the Bible, or history, we all know that, and the claims that matter that is unexplained there needs to be looked at. And we did look at them, and the results are as follows. Now, all cultures around the globe state that Venus was born as a fiery comet 3,500 years ago. This has been disputed, but it's written by the eyewitnesses and just dismissed by academics now. Now, as it passed Earth, it caused calamities on Earth everywhere. Emanuel Velikovsky did all the research on this in 1950, so there was no computers. He actually touched the documents that were written by the hands that witnessed. And here is a link to 60 of the statements he makes about this, and he was proved correct with 32 scientific discoveries that he had predicted. Now, he claims as Venus passed, it almost destroyed the Earth, and it did destroy Mars, literally. Stones and deep red dust and dried milk fell on Earth to feed the Exodus refugees. And this is a video that relates to that. Jesus claimed the manna, which fell, the milk pellets that fed the Exodus refugees, was actually his flesh and blood. Not like his flesh and blood, he's claimed it was indeed part of his body. It The chemistry does support that claim. Manna is no other explanation we can find out. It appears to be from the placenta, which is milky, called lactogenic proteins, a gelatinous afterbirth that would stream down through the atmosphere as pellets, atomized and dried as it came through. The red dust was dried blood, which is iron and is red, and it's fully understood. It's afterbirth blood. The stones were the plates of they're literally limestone in your body. It's called collagen. I think it's called collagen type 1, and it's minerals anyway, and they're built in like a Chinese finger trap configuration, so it's flexible but still very, very sturdy, and that would shatter into little tiny bits and pieces, and that's what the stones were. And we can't account for the chemistry in any other way. Now, this is what states in the Bible, about the live birth of Jesus. And it says live birth of God's Son in space is recorded in Revelations 12. The woman and the dragon. And I mean, this is very, very bizarre stuff. And if this is true, I can't discount anything in the Bible. Now, it's up to you to make your own decision. I'm not trying to push or all I'm doing is showing what we think is pretty convincing evidence. Now, it talks about in the heavens, the woman was clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, and a crown of stars on her head. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Now, this is in Revelations 12. Another sign appeared in the heaven, and there was a dragon, 7 heads and 10 horns. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. And the dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth so that it might devour her child. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter. And her child was snatched up to God to his throne. Sounds to me like that's God's son. The woman fled into the wilderness, and then it goes on. You can read all you want about it, but that is a statement that I see as a statement from God. Now, after that, war broke out in the heavens. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back, and it became a terrible, bloody battle, and the dragon was hurled to earth. Comet 67P, believe it or not, is a body part that's in space. It's a tendon. And we think maybe it's from the battles. 67P is a hip joint, but it has tendon on it, it has muscle on it, it has the hip joint on it and the socket. They have tested the particles there, and they are biological. It is what it is, and it's from this great fight in the universe. And people witnessed this. This was all recorded. So we're in heaven. That's the only thing we can think of, unless just and all of the meteorites that we have looked at are also body parts. 100%.
There's a video on that.
All right, so I guess we're going to come up to a conclusion here. So our research conclusion, and that is a conclusion. It's not an opinion. It's a conclusion that you have to support your anti-conclusion with some factual resistance to what we've shown you. And Velikovsky is the author of all of the deep research, and the paper is there that kind of shows the 60 different sources that he uses, and there's a lot more. Anyway,
we're saying that the Bible is word for word literal about Jesus' origin, as far as we can tell. And if you talk to any medical person, it will confirm this. I mean, it's not something that's a mystery here. And it was recorded worldwide. It was a worldwide event. This is not just something that's in the Bible. This is in the secular, this is in South America, Chinese. This is not something, and it was recorded by the hands of people that their eyes witnessed this. It wrenched the earth. It literally changed civilization. So that's what we find, and as far as we're concerned, the story that I just elaborated is an obvious fact. That's
all I can say is you have a defense against my claims. I would like to hear that defense. And against all the things I have presented, and especially now, the evidence we have here from asteroid Bennu. They went out to asteroid Bennu, landed on there, and picked up a sample of it, brought it back here, and it is literally from a heart, which Bennu is. And it is muscle sarcomeres with phosphate membrane layers, identical to heart in any creature that, or I'm sorry, identical to muscle sarcomeres in any creature that exists. They pinch together like that, and they are shown in vivid detail. All right, here's the heart and lungs just laying around on planet Earth, pretty good size. There was just enormous giants. This is Bennu. These are the heart valves that are in Bennu. They landed on here and went inside, grabbed a chunk of it and brought it back, and it's heart muscle. This is muscle in a heart of a heart attack victim. These are the sarcomeres, phosphate layers up and down between these blocks, which are the muscle sarcomeres. And here's what they came back from this heart. Muscle sarcomeres layered in between phosphate layers. They got phosphate, muscle, phosphate, muscle. Those are the layers in this gigantic meteorite. You know, and this one's, whoops, that one's not even huge, the one I just showed you. That one there is Bennu. It's, I can't remember, I think it's about 1/4 of a mile, something like that, across, or it's, let's go with 1/4 of a mile. I don't know how big it is. This one I do know. This one here is Psyche. That's 140 miles. That heart, 140 miles across. When we're talking about Venus, is a planet, being a creature, being a body of a creature somewhere in space. These giant gods, which Venus is apparently a new god in the solar system, but all of these other planets and so forth, they are gods. Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, they're all gods. Mercury, and they're pretty big. So 140 mile across heart, and that's the heart valves. This is not easily dismissed. Just say, oh, forget about it, it's nothing, it doesn't mean anything. And then everything on Mars is literally saturated with these same sarcomeres. They're all over the place. You see these? Let me show you what's on Mars. The same exact same thing.